Hi folks, so we're just going to do another video here in relation to putting all the parts together. So at this stage we should have all the parts drawn, and now it's just going to be a case of assembling them in the assembly environment in SOLIDWORKS. So let's just have a look. We have part 1, which is the base, part 2, which is the coffee hopper even, part 3 is the top driver housing, and so they're all 1, 2, 3, and they're all held aloft by part number 12. No, part. Just trying to read here. Part number 4. So the first 4 pieces make up the basic composition of this piece. So let's go on and start working on that. So piece number 1, the base, would probably be the first piece. Now, what you can do is you can bring these in one at a time, which I would suggest, or you could open up all the files that you've drawn on the computer. Now, if you have a weak computer and you're using a computer, or even one of the borrowed school computers, you'll find that it won't have the amount of, I suppose, graphics power for be able to create that. So just best to bring them in one at a time is what I would suggest. Okay, so here is assignment 4, part 1. That's the base. We'll open that part up first. Okay, it should take a second to open up, and then I want to create a new assembly. So file, new assembly, okay. And what it asks you is, it displays all the open documents here on the left hand side. It's to begin the assembly, select a component to insert, and then place it in the graphics area, or click OK to locate it to the origin. Okay, so I wanted to locate it to the origin, so I'm going to select the assignment 1. Okay, it'll come in. If I clicked anywhere, it would just arrive anywhere. But I'm going to center it to the origin because I want it to be in the origin. So that means that the top plane, the front plane, and the right plane are all as per the assembly environment. We'll also see there's a little F in brackets here. That means it's fixed. Okay, so that means that it's not going to be able to move left or right. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to bring in the 2 uprights here. These 2 uprights, which are here, part number 4, vertical column, diameter 16, and there's 2 in quantity. So let's go and go back to my assembly environment, click on Insert Components, select Browse, and let's go and find my parts. So it's part number 4, click on Open, and now it's coming in similar to this. Now, if let's look at just the assembly drawn here, we can see that there's 2 holes. There are holes, sorry, one in each of the columns in the middle, and that hole is to hold this hopper in place. Okay, so the coffee hopper, part number 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to just make sure that the hole is the right orientation. If the hole is the right orientation, we're happy enough. The hole is still in the right orientation. If it wasn't, we could click down here on these different rotation assemblies, and we could rotate them around different axes. But I'm happy enough to put that there, so I'm just going to click that down. Okay, and that just clicks in space. Now it's not lined up to anything in particular here at all. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to put that in first. So I'm going to go up here to the mate command, little paperclip, click on mate, and then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to select the bottom face of this hole. So rotate your mouse, hold down your mouse to pan it across, click on the base of that hole, then rotate your mouse the whole way around until you get to this, and click on the bottom face. That's basically SOLIDWORKS has what they call contextual commands, which means that it looks at what's possible, it identifies what one is most likely to be the case, and it says, right, that's the one I want to do. So it has automatically said there that this is a coincident mate. So you can see here in this top toolbar, coincident. You can also see it over here in the standard mates tab. It says it's coincident. I could have picked parallel, perpendicular, and so on. So if I click on perpendicular, it's going to have a totally different meaning to it. Okay, but coincident would be the best fit. So we click on the green tick for that. Then we move it around and we click on the inside circular surface of the hole, and then we click on the outside circular surface of the rod. Okay, and again it's contextual, so it looks at this and says, oh, it's probably going to be a concentric command. So yeah, if 9 times out of 10 it's right, but just we need to check it each time. Click on the green tick. So there's my first part. Now let's bring in my second part. So I get out of my make command by clicking on OK. I'm going to hold down control on the keyboard, which is CTRL. Control is normally the bottom left hand corner of every keyboard, but it's the one that says CTRL. Hold down control button on my keyboard, left click on the part that I want, which is assignment 4 part 4, and holding then the left mouse button, drag and drop that name over here onto the right hand side in the graphics area, and that'll create a duplicate part for me. It's just a case of repeating the steps I'm after explaining already on the right hand side now, because they're the same parts, they have symmetry. Click on Mate, select the bottom of the hole, like so, and then move it around, line it around so you can see the bottom of the shaft. Click on it again. Okay, again it offers up a coincident mate, and I'm happy enough with that. The next thing is to select the curved surface of the shaft, and then the curved surface of the inner of the hole. Click on the green tick. Now it's starting to come up. So if we go back to our drawing, you can see that there's the two upright green shafts there. Okay. The next thing that is there is the coffee hopper. So that's part number 2. There's one of them. So I need to go and I need to get out of my mate environment by clicking on green tick. I need to go to select insert components. I click on browse, and I go down and find assignment for part 2. That's the coffee hopper. Click on open. That'll bring in the coffee hopper, and I can just drag and drop it and place it in the graphics environment like that. Okay, so now where does this graphic hopper sit? This coffee hopper sit, sorry. These two holes slide down onto these two shafts, and then it's located with these two holes here on the front face. So I'm going to select the make command, again the paperclip command. I'm going to select the inside of this hole and the outside of this shaft. That's going to give me a concentric mate. That means that it's basically going to be the centers of these are shared, so it's going to be up and down there the whole time. Okay. Now I'm then going to select the. Okay, so I'm just seeing a problem there with my part. You can see there that basically if I was to line that up, that these two holes not align. So there's an issue there. So we need to go and resolve that issue. Okay. Just when we're waiting to do that, I'm just going to bring this down somewhere like that, and I'm going to select the inside of this circle and the inside of this circle, and that'll create a concentric mate for me as well. Okay. Now we need to fix this problem. I would say that there's probably something over here that's too long. These two parts here are too long. Now again, if I had planned this properly, I obviously wouldn't want it for it to be showcasing any mistakes on a video. However, it's a very good example of parametric CAD. So this here is an assembly environment. I need to go and open this part and change this part slightly. So I'll go through it how I would go about solving that problem, and maybe something can be taken from it. So I'm going to right click on the part, and this will give me a pop-up menu. Up in the top left hand corner you can see select open part. So I can open that in the part environment. Now let's just go and have my drawing open. I'm going to zoom in, just make sure we have all the right sizes. So it is 90 from the center line over to the center of the hole. So let's just go back to my actual assembly environment, and let's just check that. So let's go back to this sketch, edit sketch, Control 8, and let's see, is my shape the correct size? So we're just troubleshooting here, similar to what we would do normally. Okay, so it is 94 in diameter, 100 in diameter. So 194, or half that would be 1547. Okay, so it's not on that. So that central hopper part seems to be right. Now this here extruded boss base. So I have it for 101 from the center line to the end of the part. Let's just see, is that correct? So it's meant to be 28 from there to there. Let's just have a look at this now. So I had it from 11, radius 11 from there to there, radius 11 from there to there. Yep. So 90 plus 11 is 101. So that looks correct. So this part looks okay. So that leaves in that it might be this part that's wrong. Okay. So we go back here. We accept that, and we close that because I don't have enough graphics area to answer the changes. No. keep changing the assembly. Grand. Rebuild it. Now, it might be the case that this part here isn't correct, the base part. And to be fair, that's a base part that we did quite some time ago. So let's go and look at it. Radius 220, diameter 220, that's that. And this here, let's say it's something to do with this. I'm just looking at my drawing. This seems to be over quite a bit. So let's just have a look at this. Okay, so it is, let me see. Okay. So it's meant to be 180 and this between the center of these two holes. Let's go and check that out. Top of the base. Let's see, go up here to the evaluate tab, select measure that hole there to that hole there, and the distance between it is 160.34. So there's my issue. Okay, so it wasn't the first bit at all. So let's see how we'd fix that problem. Let's go down here to the extrude boss base, and we're going to edit that sketch. So it's becoming apparent that the distance between there and there wasn't correct. So let's go and smart dimension that. The distance from here to the center of that hole, and what did I say? I said that it was 180. So that's 90. Half of 180 is 90. So let's go over here and let's type in 90, 90, click on the green tick, and accept that sketch. Now you will see that that's created. Now parametric CAD, because I've changed that in the part environment, when I go back to my assembly environment, so just I don't know if I actually went through this. If we go to the assembly environment, just to recap, if we go up here to window and go down to assembly, you'll see that it's able to flick between the two. And look, lo and behold, it's updated automatically, and it looks like it's perfectly aligned there. Now the problem is we didn't assign an concentric mate over here on the right hand side, so now we have to do that. Okay, so again, a good lesson in itself, just to see how you problem solve, how you troubleshoot something there. I initially thought that it was a problem with this part number 2. It was actually a problem with part number 1. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so there we go, we bring that down. And the last one then is concentric mate between the inside of these two holes, and now that is fixed in position. It's not going to move up, it's not going to move down, and it's perfectly aligned. Okay, now the next part we have to do is we have to do this part over here. So that is part number 3. Part number 3 is the top driver housing. Okay, so we'll bring part number 3 in. Part number 3 is going to sit on top of them 2 poles. Okay, so let's go back to our assembly environment, click on Insert Components, click on Browse, go down and find assembly. Assignment 4, part 3, click on Open. And there it comes in. Okay, let's click it in space, and let's see, does this mate together? So click on the mate command, set the inside of that hole and the outside of the shaft, click the green tick. Now, what we can see now is I need to drag it up so I can see in the inside of it. Okay, so the outside of that circle shaft, inside this hole, and click on concentric. Okay, now you're nearly there, and you would imagine that the top of this shaft would sit on the inside of the hole. So click the inside of the hole, the bottom of the hole, top of the shaft, and that would be a coincident mate, and accept that. There is my coffee hopper starting to look similar to what it is. I just noticed that I haven't saved this yet. You don't want to lose anything, so click on File, Save As, and we'll call it Assembled Coffee Grinder. Click on Save, and it's asking you to save all the components, and we select that. Okay, so now it's just a case of starting to build in the rest of the pieces. Okay. But I think for today's class, if you were to get that far, troubleshoot any of the different problems that there was in terms of sizes and so on, that would be a good starting point. I'll create another video now in the next couple of days, which will go through all the rest of the parts. But that's part A of the assembly, how to put it together for the first part. And you can see then 4 main components, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 4, the 2 shafts, there's 2 of them, so it's part 4A, part 4B, I suppose. They make up the vast majority of the whole thing. Okay, so all we need to do pretty much after that is put in the different bushes and grinders and so on, but they pretty much that's the main crux of the housing. Okay, folks, if there's any questions, come back to me and let me know.